Hello everyone. Good morning to all my dear sunshines. I hope you are finding this presentation in a good health. Today we are going to learn something interesting. Okay? So get ready to find out some interesting trivia as well as some interesting moral on how to lead our lives. Let's get started. So, today, children, we are going to do a chapter from your supplementary reader, that is A Pact with the Sun. The name of the chapter that you are going to learn about today is A Friendly Mongoose. Let's learn some trivia about the mongoose, also known as the noble snake killer. The mongoose is a small, snake killing, cat like mammal. They are small, slender, and full of energy. The plural of mongoose is mongooses or monkeys, but mongooses is definitely more common. Historically, mongoose was spelled as mongoose, that is Mungus, but the gus goose was replaced with goose goose because it sounded more familiar to the English speakers. That practice of changing spellings is also called as folk etymology. Though the mongoose looks like a rodent is something like a rat, but in reality it's not a rodent, as rodents have a pair of goofy teeth, incisors, also known as incisors. Let's go ahead now. Now, let's read the chapter The Friendly Mongoose. Now, if you're having your supplementary reader with you, you can open the second chapter in it and read along with me. Let's go through the summary first. A farmer, his wife, and their small child lived in a village. There was also a baby mongoose in the house, who they believed would be their son's companion and friend in future. One day, the farmer and his wife went out, leaving the child alone with the mongoose. Now let's read the story. Once, a farmer and his wife lived in a village with their small son. They loved him very much. We must have a pet, the farmer said to his wife one day. When our son grows up, he will need a companion. This pet will be our son's companion. His wife liked the idea. One evening, the farmer brought with him a tiny mongoose. It's a baby mongoose, said his wife, but will soon be a fully grown. He will be a friend to our son. Here, on this page, we see that the farmer and his wife are deciding to get a companion for their young son. The farmer therefore brings a mongoose with him one day, but it's a baby mongoose. It will be a fully grown mongoose and it will grow with their son. On the next page, it says, both the baby and the mongoose grew. In 5 or 6 months, the mongoose had grown to its full size. A lovely animal with two shining black eyes and a bushy tail. The farmer's son was still a baby in the cradle, sleeping and crying alternately. One day, the farmer's wife wanted to go to the market. She fed the baby and rocked him to sleep in his little cradle. Picking up the basket, she said to her husband, I'm off to the bazaar. The baby is sleeping. Keep an eye on him. Frankly, I don't like to leave the child alone with the mongoose. You needn't be afraid, said the farmer. The mongoose is a friendly animal. It's as sweet as our baby and they are the best of friends, you know. The wife went away and the farmer, having nothing to do in the house, decided to go out and take a look at his fields not far away. He ran into some friends on the way and didn't return for quite some time. Now let's look at the second part. It is in continuation for what has happened till now. Let's find out what happens when the farmer's wife comes back from the bazaar. Let's go through the summary once more. The farmer's wife returned home from the market carrying a heavy basket. She found the mongoose at the entrance of the house with blood on his face and paws. She jumped to the conclusion that it was her son's blood and the mongoose was the guilty one. Now let's go ahead and create a scene in our mind with what we are going to read about now. The farmer's wife finished her shopping and came back home with a basket full of groceries. She saw the mongoose sitting outside as if waiting for her. On seeing her, he ran to welcome her as was customary. The farmer's wife took one look at the mongoose and screamed. "Blood!" she cried. The face and the paws of the mongoose were smeared with blood. "You wicked animal! You have killed my baby!" she screamed hysterically. Hysterically means with lots of fear and loudly. She was blind with rage. Blind with rage here means super angry. And with all her strength, brought down the heavy basket full of groceries on the blood-smeared mongoose and ran inside to the child's cradle. Here, the farmer's wife was thinking something. Let's find out what she was thinking. The baby was fast asleep, but on the floor lay a black snake, torn and bleeding. In a flash, she realized what had happened. She ran out, looking for the mongoose. "Oh, you saved my child. You killed the snake. What have I done?" she cried, touching the mongoose, who lay dead and still, unaware of her sobbing. The farmer's wife, who had acted hastily and rashly, stared long at the dead mongoose. Then she heard the baby crying. Wiping her tears, she went in to feed him. This is a story from the Panchtantra, and we all know that stories from Panchtantra always have a moral in them. Now there are some questions. Now these questions will be discussed orally by you with your parents or with your siblings. Question number 1 says, why did the farmer bring a baby mongoose into the house? Question 2, why didn't the farmer's wife want to leave the baby alone with the mongoose? Question 3 says, what was the farmer's comment on his wife's fears? Question 4, why did the farmer's wife strike the mongoose with her basket? Question 5, did she repent her hasty action? How does she show her repentance? So these are the questions that you don't need to write down anywhere, because we all know that supplementary reader questions are not supposed to be written. They are supposed to be discussed orally. So discuss these questions with anyone in your house. Going to the next slide. Now dear children, I hope you have understood the lesson. All the supplementary reader chapters have a moral to it. They teach us how to cultivate an ideal behavior and nature in ourselves. The moral of the story, Friendly Mongoose, is look before you leap. It means you have to think at least twice or thrice before doing anything. The smart thinking is vital because it will help you to avoid various problems and also reduce the possibility of facing complex problems. Let's move ahead. I have something for you that you have to write down by yourselves. Okay, so pay attention to the next slide. Dear students, you will be writing the answers to the following in your assignment or project to show your understanding of the chapter. Now, what you have to do in Ideas for Action? The first one says you have to rewrite the story as a brief outline in 3 to 5 bullet point lines. So it is, you have to write down only the main incidents that happen throughout the story. So if I or anybody else is reading the story, you can or they can easily understand it by themselves. Now you have to ask this question to yourself and write down the answer in your project. Do you or your friends keep pets? Ask them about how they feel about their pets and share your ideas. Number 3, make your own story of a big misunderstanding. The misunderstanding can be with your parents, your siblings, your cousins, your friends, or your neighbors too. It can be with anyone. So you have to make a story out of your big understanding. Share why snakes and mongoose are useful to us. Now, in food for thought, you have to complete these sentences and write them down in your assignment or project. The farmer brought a mongoose as a pet because. Number 2, when she saw the mongoose, the farmer's wife ran indoors in a hurry because. Indoors means inside the house. At the end, the farmer's wife is crying and feeling guilty because the story tries to teach us something. What is that? If I could change the title of this story, I would name it as. You have to be creative here and give a title to the story by yourself. Now, this is what you have to write down. All these things you will be writing down in your assignment or project for your summer vacation. Thank you so much everyone. It was fun making this video for you guys because I'm missing you all.